Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another Fireside Chat. And a special welcome to my friends in the various Yahoo groups that we talk to on a regular basis. I send you my love. This is your host, Lance White, otherwise known as Zany Mystic. Tonight's guest is known as the Angel Lady. Carol May is an internationally known personal growth counselor, empath, and I probably will say this wrong, Reiki or Reiki master teacher.
It's called Reiki.
Reiki, okay.
Yes.
She has worked extensively with the archangels and with Metatron and creates wonderful angel, dolphin, and self-esteem meditations and affirmations for personal growth. Let's welcome Carol May to the show right now. Hi, Carol May. How are you?
Oh, I'm just doing great.
Oh, good. You know, I was listening to your CDs today, and they were wonderful, and your voice is so seductive. It's just, your voice is well, I could say it's angelic, but it's very smooth and silky and wonderful. Is
Thank
that
you.
part of your the gift that you were given when you came in?
You know, I really do think so. I was talking to somebody about it the other day who said to me, gosh, Carol, I never have heard one of your CDs all the way through because I always fall asleep.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, my voice was always beautiful from the beginning, and then for 25 years I've done soul attunement work with people, meaning that I've channeled everybody's soul energy to them. And it just makes the energy that comes out when I begin to speak, you know, especially if I'm focused or in my own higher self at the time, do you know? So, boy, when I get in front of a microphone to record those CDs, it's like magic happens, do you know?
Yeah, I could tell. I could tell.
What were you listening to?
Huh?
Which one were you listening to?
Oh, I was listening to the, not the Simple Walk, but the other one. It's in my CD player, so I don't have the title.
Oh, okay.
I'd have to push a button here, you know, and
Well, A Simple Walk is the most recent one that I did, and it's one of those things where the beings ask me to do something, and sometimes, you know, in Earth time it'll take me 2 or 3 years to do it.
Yeah.
But they said that the Simple Walk one is specifically geared for, you know, anyone out in the working world, especially if they're overworked or stressful and don't take enough time for themselves or something.
Yep.
Because it carries not only relaxation energy, but rejuvenation. It's almost like a lot of the CDs or, you know, whatever the angels ask me to do, then sort of like the book, it carries with it a certain blessing, a certain energetic that happens, you know, when you're listening to it.
Oh, yeah, I could tell. I definitely picked up on that.
Well, that's good. That's good.
Now, how did your journey on the angelic path begin? I guess it was about 20 years ago, yes?
Well, the truth actually is that I was born, you know, with a gift to talk to people's soul and to see the angels. I remember being in the womb. I remember right after I was born.
Wow.
And that's one of the things that I talk about in the very first chapter of my book, Working with Angels in Everyday Life. And I think that this gift was given to me. So throughout my entire life, the angels have been with me. A lot of times it was only through color or sound or, you know, I could hear them singing to me in the crystals and stuff like that. But I didn't actually, I mean, you're right, I had a lot of different experiences, sort of mystical experiences as I was growing up. But it was actually in my late 20s when I, in my early 20s, I had a lot of past life memory experiences and different spiritual things happen. And then in my early 30s, Archangel Michael appeared to me in person and asked me, you know, if I would go forward and do my work, the soul attunement work, you know, like for a living. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, since 1983. I've had lots of other jobs, but it always comes back to doing the soul attunement work, either part-time or full-time. Because my degrees are in sociology and journalism. So, see, my dream was always to be a famous writer, and Archangel Michael had said to me, well, could you just do this other work for just a little while?
Like 20 years?
Yeah, 25 years later you go, okay, is that a little while to you guys,
That's funny.
That's like a blink of an eye, in the other dimensions, right? So,
I guess.
Yeah, that's how it seems. But, even though I was living in Alabama at the time, there was a group of people. They were called the Children of Light. They lived in California.
Oh.
And their guidance told them in the early 70s to move to Alabama, Georgia, in those areas. And so I was living in Birmingham, Alabama, and met my first spiritual teachers. They had a church called the Church of the Living Light.
Ooh,
and I used to run this little outdoor theater where we showed old films and old cartoons outdoors in the summertime.
Wow.
And it was right across the street from this Metaphysical church.
Oh, how wonderful.
Yeah, and so in the late 70s, I started having some of my first experiences with, spiritual teachers, and they really taught us how to clear the inner planes and begin to work with angels and beings in the other dimensions. And what happened was they taught it to everyone, and it just turned out that I was really great at it. We started really developing, my abilities. Once certain things happen in your life, it will be as if, your abilities get tripled or quadrupled or whatever,
Yeah. Do you think that there are a lot of people, just from the attunements that you do on a regular basis, that are possibly not fulfilling or not living up to, or that could expand their soul's purpose if they were able to do so?
Well, I do believe, you sent out information from my website about the Lotus grid that's opening now, which is a real signal to us, and you can feel it in the air almost, and certainly inside, that even for people who have, quote-unquote, have been living their divine purpose, or doing readings, or having kids, or teaching, or whatever they've been doing, it's highly likely that they're going to be, between now and 11/11/11, be experiencing an even deeper attunement with what really belongs to them to express. Because getting to know ourselves and coming into deep clarity about our essence, we have our essence, and then it gets imprinted and imbued with all this energy as we grow up, as we live here on the planet. Whether it's imprinted by church or family or advertising, you know what I mean?
Right,
we get imprinted all the time, don't we?
Absolutely.
And a lot of it is so subconscious that we just don't even realize, it's just like we accept things as being true about ourselves that aren't actually our true self, right?
Absolutely right.
Yeah, so that's what I think is really, really happening now, is just an explosion of this expansion of the essential self taking up all the room inside of us, so that a lot of just what isn't really true or what doesn't apply now starts to fall away. Wow. And so people might get in touch with old dreams and visions, or they might go to a deeper place in whatever their dream or vision has always been. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've been writing since I was 5 years old, and I bet I had 8 books in various stages of being done.
Yeah.
And only after my Lotus grid began opening and I got my destiny designation from Metatron in February of '06, did I have, a website and the Lotus Grid celebrations, and now a book is finished and out there. Do you see what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
And I've been doing my work for 25 years.
Right.
And yet, this is such a more deep and exquisite expression for me than I ever even truly imagined,
Yes. For people who don't know, like myself, tell us a little bit more about who Metatron is, and a little bit more about the Lotus Grid as well.
Oh, absolutely. How great for you to ask about that. I worked mainly, I'll just always give a little bit of background. In my earlier life, or since the very beginning, I worked very much with Archangel Michael and Raphael. They stand by my side in all my sessions because I ask for that protection when I first made an agreement to do this kind of work because I didn't want to get killed this lifetime. For what I know, I had too many memories, like a lot of people probably do.
I've heard that.
Yeah, and so I work mainly with the more well-known angelic beings until about 4 or 5 years ago. And Metatron, who seems to be the sort of head honcho, the head of the archangels, and I know there's lots of different explanations and definitions around Metatron. My experience, he said to me that he operates mainly out of the 22nd dimension.
Ooh.
Yeah, whenever he contacts me, even though the energy is always very gentle, because the angels seem to know that if they come on too strong, it'll kind of scare me off or something.
Well, yeah.
So they tend to make me laugh and show me colors and help me. They're pretty gentle with me most of the time. But when Metatron shows up, he feels like he's made out of titanium or something. His energy is very lyrical. When he moves or when I hear him talking, it's just like like a sound comes out, that makes me feel like I've gone into the other dimensions.
Ooh, nice.
It's an amazing experience. And so far, my experiences with Metatron, he originally started talking to me a few years ago about how we're beginning to actually have the soul vibration truly anchored inside the physical body.
Okay.
Like our third eye energy, or the intuitive vibration of the body, moved from the third eye to the solar plexus, so that we could feel more, so the soul could feel more complete or whole inside the physical body and not have to hang out above our head or something all the time. That was actually a big deal when that happened. About 8 years ago, that particular thing occurred.
Okay.
And then right after that, the fourth eye opened. We all know about the third eye at the front of the face. Well, the fourth eye is at the back, directly opposite the third eye. And in the third eye, you receive information, more intuitive information for other people. The fourth eye, you begin to receive information and energy from about your own eighth dimensional self as it comes in to assist you in knowing about your own evolution. So when that started, the beings in the other dimensions kind of wanted human help with that. And a lot of people may not have put words to this. They might go, "Oh my God, that's what I was feeling," But Metatron started talking about DNA codes and how we needed to really begin to understand energetically and numerologically what our DNA codes are. And he started bringing in 10th, 11th, and 12th dimensional energies for us to operate with, because the goal for a long, long time was that the beings were sending eighth dimensional higher self energy into the third dimensional life, and our mental bodies, so that we could hopefully begin to evolve and live at the fifth dimensional level of freedom and choice. So that's sort of, if I was going to try to explain, evolution, that's the theory, how you would bring in a higher energy to the lower and hope the two will mix. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and we're doing great, as a matter of fact.
What's our report card?
Our report card is fabulous. I'm telling you, I remind people, please go to the website, which is www.lotusgrid.com. LOTUSGRID, lotusgrid.com. Because even on the first page, we've had 2, worldwide Lotus Grid celebrations to really start bringing this information about the Lotus Grid out. And at first, Metatron had said, we wouldn't be able to survive on the planet if we didn't have some degree of pure love and pure creativity and destiny energy already anchored on the planet in the consciousness. And so he said it was about at 10%. And then after the first Lotus Grid celebration, which was held September 24th of 2006, then the report was we had amped it up all the way to 33%.
Wow.
And then after 777, you know how much was going on at a worldwide level on 777. It was extraordinary and really helpful to the Earth plane, And he said we had made it to 44% already, and that, see, our goal was to be able to anchor that energy without bloodshed at the level of at least 51% by 11/11/11, so that we could begin to really relate on a normal, regular, everyday basis from our essential true love self.
Wow.
And the way he explained it to me is that in so many other lifetimes, when only one person, you know, like the Christ or the Buddha or Thomas More, whoever was sent here to try to bring new information and new patterns and really powerful, pure love, you know, they end up being martyred.
Yeah.
And so the creative idea that Metatron and his team came up with was to have all of these thousands and thousands and thousands of light workers who are here. We made an agreement before we came to do the light worker work, the evolutionary work, this time, this lifetime.
Right.
Actually, over about 100-year period.
Right.
There's whoever was born after, gosh, I can't remember the exact date, but all of us that are here now, in other words.
Right.
But that we were, the way that it was handled, it's as if our essential energy, our pure love, has been held like a tight bud of a lotus flower inside. And the agreement was that over a 5 or 6 year time frame, which, like we said, is a blink of an eye, you know, and the other side, that we would all begin, we would say yes and still be in agreement and let our grids, our little flower, open up at the same time. So you have all of these thousands and thousands of people beginning to talk about pure love and creativity and our divine essence and et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
So that the true shift could occur on the planet from inside each human, from inside the consciousness, you know, of humanity.
Oh, absolutely. That makes the most sense to me. Now, what happens with we know that there's a lot of darkness here on the planet, and that it's been controlling things probably for far too long. What happens to that energy? Is that currently being processed?
I'll tell you what it looks like to me anyway, is that in general, you know, the angels go by this this theory. They call it the 2-to-1 technique. When you have a negative thought, what you can do with that, for every one negative thought, bring in 2 positives. And the first positive starts to neutralize the negative.
Right.
And then the second positive moves the energy in a different direction. And so there's 2 things that have been said. And one is that what we're looking for is to shift how we relate, our response to life, and have that response to be proactive and coming from our true essence. Okay. And so in general, what that'll mean is, you know, wherever the darkness is, we just get to know ourselves, we just bathe in self-love and pure love, and then we just send more light to the darkness.
Right.
You know, we carry more light than there is darkness.
Right.
My experience, though, I have to tell you, with energy, and especially so much of that darkness literally seems to stem from, you know, emotions that have been repressed, misunderstood, not accepted, hated, et cetera, et cetera. So that to me, it makes our prime directive about learning a new way to respond to our emotions, to begin to remember, you know, to love that which we've previously hated, or at least give it acceptance, give it, to just get it, that it's here. And if it's here, then it needs acceptance, or even to be curious to find out what does it need in order to dissolve, in order to move to its next highest level.
Wow, that's practical.
Yeah, so in any given situation, when you are faced with that darkness, then the first step is literally to go ahead and face it and feel it and go, here it is. And, you know, remember to go to your center, the center of your being, and remember your light, which is stronger than that darkness. Although, see, I think that they end up being, and I know this might sound a teeny-weeny radical, but the beings, they talk to me all the time about how we're trying to lift judgment off the planet.
Yes.
Through this pure love that's anchoring. And so that we have, how we've always looked at saying, black and white, negative and positive. We always think everything's the opposite.
Yeah.
And so it's either or. Well, either this is good or it's bad.
Right.
And this is what the beings claim is called the war vibration. It keeps us always at war.
Yep.
And so because of that, anything that you can do inside yourself to just move out of the either-or way of thinking, acting, speaking, emoting, all of that stuff. And it very often means looking at what's here as if it's all actually started out as light. It all started out as God or goodness or whatever you want to call it.
Right.
And then because we're on the planet, because the effect of gravity is very strong, we have to obey the physical laws while we're here in a body, as well as our, beautiful spiritual laws. Then the light gets a bunch of yucky stuff wrapped around it. And then we call it darkness or evil or bad or blah, blah, blah. And so the more that you're relating to the darkness as an energy that's really in pitiful shape, that's trying to get back to its essence, so that when we send light, when we send love, when we give understanding or compassion or la la la, then when we do that in our personal life, it of course helps at a planetary level as well, because we're holding a strong intention toward peace, towards understanding, towards evolution.
Oh, absolutely. That's absolutely brilliant. And one of the things that I notice is that there's always a third alternative. In dualistic thinking, there's always at least a third, and once you've thought of the third thing, it's easy to come up with dozens of other alternatives besides black or white. And so we're moving out of duality, and so I try to catch myself when I'm thinking at the level of thought before they manifest.
Right.
When I start talking in my head that way, then I catch my thoughts, and then it's easier to correct at the level of thought. And,
I agree with you. I agree with you. I do think that one of the mistakes that most of us make, including me, is when we're wanting to change something, that if we try not to have a thought, you know what I mean? Then you're just focusing energy on it.
Exactly. And what you resist persists.
And
what we don't want, we end up creating because we're fighting it, and by fighting it, we give it reality.
That's right, and so it sometimes seems like a better choice to make, to think about, how would you like to think, how would you like to respond, so that when you're not in some sort of negative or scary situation, when you're calm and centered and whatever, make your choices then, and really begin to be proactive and invite all your parts to spend time thinking the way you want to think. My experience is that the very first thing that we almost always do is to get mad at ourselves when we, have a negative thought or when something's coming up that we've made a choice we don't want anymore. But the thing is, I don't care how wonderful you get, the energy is still on the planet. And so it's much more important for us to develop a way to respond to things, even than to try to develop, being over something. And the reason why is because no matter how over it you are, you're always going to run into it again.
Absolutely.
That's just the truth.
Absolutely.
It's kind of like you stop smoking and then you're around other people that smoke because people still smoke.
Right.
So it's still out there for us to relate to. And that's the reason why I think the angels bring forward like the 2-to-1 way of thinking, and they invite us to just really have acceptance. If you were going to develop one habit that would probably make the biggest difference in your life, well, maybe I should say 2. But the first one would probably be to shift, the way we talk about things. Instead of saying, oh, this is horrible, to begin saying, this seems pretty horrible. Because if we just add that one word, that something seems a certain way, because in general, when we're on the planet, this is such a temporary place. Most things just seem the way they are anyway. And if we can relate to them as if there's room for them to change, then that gives us the opportunity to help change them, doesn't it?
And then how many times have we discovered that what seemed to be the most horrendous experience of our life, car accidents and relationships ending, turned out to be blessings in disguise?
That's right. That's right.
I'd say almost all of them, and some would go so far as to say that we arranged all of that pre-incarnationally.
Well, yeah, I know. I'm not too sure about, things having to be a certain way.
Yeah.
But I do know that, in our life we'll come up against, should I choose, A or B?
Mm.
And in general, what I've been able to discover is that we generally choose the lessons we're going to work on and the things we're going to learn.
Right.
And then when we get here, the actual eventology, the things that happen that teach us that might alter or be different depending on if we choose road A or road B.
Right.
So you're still going to get your lessons no matter what, no matter which, road that you choose, that's for sure. So I think we can be pretty sure of that.
Yeah, that's wise words.
Yeah, right. Well, most of the things, I'm probably like a lot of people. I learned so much from hearing the angels talk to other people and then also talking to myself. And you find out that just knowing something, just having a concept of something, it's not actually enough. Here, when we move our concepts into true experiences, that's when you really probably start learning.
Oh, absolutely.
After you've practiced it 100 times, then you might start learning it,
Absolutely. I call that my brick in the head experience.
Brick in the head. That's right.
I had a few thousand hit me on the head, and still managed to get a few thousand more after that.
Well, I'll tell you what I crack up over, because so many people ask the question, my goodness, Carol, I thought I learned this. Why do I have to have the same experience,
I know.
over and over?
I know.
And the one thing that I can say is that usually we do on this planet, it is a road planet, and we learn things by practicing and doing them over and over, and so we tend to unlearn them the same way by having things happen. And usually, even when we come back around to the same thing, our growth is pretty much on a spiral. So even though we might come back around to it, we're probably in a different place on the spiral.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And if you actually map it out, some people can map this out and see how their relationships spiral around, and depending on the choices that are made within those relationships, can see parallels on a higher level. If you've been able to learn from your last experiences, at least that's in my brick in the head.
I love that. That is so funny.
I know that everybody's going to want to know this, have you talk about this. So I'm going to ask you: does everyone have angels guiding them at all times? And if so, how does that work, and how do they begin to tap into that and listen and hear and communicate with this guidance?
Excellent question.
Oh, thanks.
And the very first thing I'll say is just, a funny little plug, because all they need to do is read my book. But anyway, I'll give you a summary. Yes, I would say one of the chapters in the book is actually entitled Angels We All Have.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody knows about a guardian angel. We all have the guardian angels. And what might surprise some people is how it's a great idea, like for new or expectant parents, to write letters to the soul of the guardian angel of their baby that's coming in, because the guardian angels generally stands with that soul as it is in utero, and then as the child is coming in and being born and all that stuff. So, and guardian angels can be, beings that were your friend in a lifetime 6,000 years ago, and y'all climbed the wall of China and went exploring, and this lifetime you're in a body, and they're helping you, being your guardian angel, and working without being in a body. The main message, truly, of the beings has always been, ever since I've been knowing and working with them this lifetime, has been that we are a team, and that we all work together. The beings, the angels, beings of light, guides, teachers, whatever words you want to use, for those beings that I call angels in the other dimensions. They're working without a body, and we're working with a body, but we're still a team, working to advance the consciousness and awareness and growth of humanity. And so there's a variety of situations when it comes to guardian angels, but regardless of whether you're depressed and angry and feel like you've been deserted, I promise you they're still there. So a couple of other angels that are always with us, and one is actually called the body deva, and it's an angelic essence. The devas are quote-unquote angels who work on a more generic level. And so they're overlighting devas, and they tend to operate just at a higher frame. They're really not very much into physical, They don't want to hear about eventology too much, They don't care about trauma drama. They really mainly work in the higher realms. And so the body deva is always present also, and really thrives on our attention and our gratitude. But that is the being, the essential energy that stands guard over our physical bodies, the organs and glands, and kind of keeps up with timing on growth and sort of when you're going to be in an accident and if you still need to be in that accident, Because I've seen so many situations where a person was scheduled for a really horrific accident so they could learn blah, 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 3 different lessons or something at one time. And then it was scheduled for, November of 06 or something. And then they had something happen to them, a heartbreak or whatever, and they learned a lot faster than had been originally planned. So by the time it's time for this accident, they end up being in a little fender bender or something. Instead of this horrible, because that's what I mean. Things really change. Our thoughts and the way we say yes and get in there and show up and do things, it changes. Whatever. So even when something's been quote unquote pre-planned, and pre-agreed.
It can be modified in the moment.
We do have that ability to alter what's needed, because most things actually occur either to bring us what we want or to help us get prepared for that or to learn whatever we need to learn to prepare us to have what we want. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and then who else? Some of the beings who are also always with us, the body deva's always there. We all each have a house angel, too, an overlighting deva of wherever we live. Even there's a discussion in the book about homelessness, which is such a karmic thing.
But the cardboard box diva.
That's right, the cardboard box diva. There's the house devas that stand nearby, even in those situations. And when you leave and move somewhere else, the deva will tend to stay with the house, and you will have another deva wherever you go and live. There will be another one that's with you, and you can ask for to have, car devas assigned to an overlighting deva to help you. It's sort of like so that intuitively you'll always know where to go, how the car's doing, when you need to change the oil, stuff like when there's a cop nearby, stuff like that.
And then the parking situation, too.
Yeah, most people have heard about the parking angels, and even though they joke about it, it's actually a real thing. Now, the one of the angels that really wants to get talked about, they're called project angels. And so, that's in a different section of the book, but I bring it in here because project angels are not always with us, but they certainly are when you request them. And these days, we're all wanting to know about our next step and what to do next and on and on. Well, the project angels, that is what they are there to help with. They literally look different. A lot of angels appear to me as color or a feeling, or they'll actually show up and show me their form. But the project angels appear in a very smooth, flowing liquid form, because what they're about, it's almost like drinking an energy drink. Their energy is to actually help you start a new project, stay committed and connected to it, and then actually to help you know when it's time to finish and complete.
I could use a few of those right now. They told me, I learned this when I was writing the book, they told me that the agreement right now is that in general, truly most humans
do really great if they can handle one project at a time.
Right.
And if you know Geminis or Leos or people like that, they can handle 3 or 4, a bunch.
Oh, yeah.
We usually get in trouble when we try to handle too much. But the beings told me that they are prepared, that we will be able to handle up to 9 projects at one time.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, so my guess would be that's, over the next 4, 5, 6 years, that our capacity, think about how just, the advancement of electronics has speeded up what we can accomplish in one day, even now, just over the last 15, 20 years, how much that has changed,
Oh, yeah. Well, a lot of people are a little bit concerned about the times we're in right now, that we're involved in some kind of shift. And, of course, the Mayan calendar ends at 2012, as I'm sure you're aware. And you mentioned the 11-11-11. Have you been given any information or thoughts? Do you have any thoughts on the shift that's occurring?
Right, and I want to go back to and finish up that last question about how to contact the angels and stuff.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, but let me address this since you brought it up.
Yeah.
I admit, it feels to me, I think we have to be extremely expansive in our relationship with the information that's coming in.
Okay.
And what I mean by that is, I don't think it means that you'll hardly ever hear anybody say the world's going to end.
Right.
They will say that the world as we have known it is going to pass away. And you can see that happening even in this very moment.
Uh-huh.
And I think it's very connected to the whole Lotus grid thing, to tell you the honest truth, because as we shift and change inside ourselves and relate to one another from our true essential self, the ones who are willing to say yes to that, I want to live from love, then in general, our energetic field, our vibration, is just our frequency, as the frequencies attune with one another, they might just kind of vibrate into an existence, and we might not even notice anything, except that the air suddenly smells really great everywhere.
Yeah.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, I do.
And then there may be this entire part of the population that kind of leaves or goes into a different dimension, or the beings have told me about what they call a violet, a purple planet is being formed. Literally, the entrance to it is at the North Pole.
Oh.
And they said that anyone who is not in agreement with the golden age of, understanding and love, which is sort of in the process of coming into physical form.
Okay.
We lived on this planet in our light bodies for a long time, and I think sort of in the middle of the whole Atlantean experience, we went from the light body down just a little bit further into the physical with this collective gasp, and we began to feel separate and bad and all these feelings because we'd never actually been, quote-unquote, solid before.
Yeah.
And so it seems like to me, this is the information that I've been given, and I realize, it's kind of, you almost have to go into a 22nd dimensional thought form or way of thinking to understand what they're talking about, that the shift, the gargantuan shift anyway, is likely to occur at a frequency level that will change some people's whole existence, but people who have been working at their essential higher self level for a number of years, are going to still stay in that frequency. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes.
And you think about it, it's almost like I was looking at this the other day, it's almost like we live in several different worlds already, because you have people who live in abject poverty and addiction to, crack on the street. Yeah. That's not that's not the life that you or I have, is it?
No.
And other people are so wealthy that that's not the life that I have either.
No.
But I'm just saying we already have quite a number of delineations of what kind of frequency people live their life or respond to their life at, And so it feels like to me this is just sort of the angelic version of what's likely to occur down the road. And that's the other reason why it's very important for us to embrace our wholeness and our essence and just go for it, you know, to open up and sing and be happy and live so in the moment from our higher self and do our best to respond to one another, you know, to really see and feel that soul vibration in each person and know that we're family and blah, 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 you know.
Yeah. I like that. And to come from our hearts.
Yeah, and I think, you know, that is, I know that's scary. Of course it is, because if we fear being hurt more than we love being alive, you know, then we're always going to back down and be tight. And you know what I'm saying? But I think what's happening, you can feel it. Well, at least me, I keep running into so many people whose hearts just wide open to the possibilities of what we can create.
Oh, yeah.
Not even what we should create, but what we can create, you know?
Oh, yeah.
It's almost limitless. And so just segueing back into how to get in touch with that energy, those thought forms, you know, that a vibration of the angels. There are lots and lots of suggestions in the book, on the website, through the CDs, and you'll find them all over the place. I in no way am saying, you know, you have to get it through me, because that's so totally, like, you know, funny. But, you know, one of the things you find out is that talking to the angels and being with them and receiving their love and help is literally about your willingness to receive.
Oh, yes.
To just ask for it and then open up and receive and then give gratitude whether you know what you've received or not.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's almost like it takes practice, just like listening with your heart and getting more and more in touch with what your real true needs are. If you, instead of, you might go, well, look, of course I have the need to pay the rent, you know.
Right.
And I also have the need to feel deeply loved and appreciated.
I think that's more important.
I agree. It's just that, you know, we're on the planet. We're in a body. So, you know, we want to go by the rules here. Stop at the red lights and pay your rent, you know. Wear clothes most of the time.
Right.
And stuff like that.
That's right.
But you see what I mean, boy? When the angels talk about stuff like this, they do tend to talk about it with great levity because, you know, we take things real serious, don't we?
Yeah, probably too seriously, wouldn't you say?
Well, it's almost like to be deeply connected and committed and very light and fluidic. That's sort of the key right there.
Yeah.
But, you know, I was going to say, I do have a CD that's called Angels, Angels, Angels that I actually made a long time ago when I lived in Sedona. And it has, what kind of music? We did all these recordings live back then with live music. And it's a guided imagery meditation to go through these color chambers and meet up with your guardian angel and some of your other angels. So I sort of consider that a companion to the book because my real deep desire in teaching and in writing is for the working with angels in everyday life to generate more questions than it answers. Because we want to go inside and discover for ourselves what could possibly be in there, you know. And I'll give you a little hint. It's really important, you know, when you're wanting to know other dimensional information, when you're asking questions and you get images and you go, what does this mean? In the beginning, sometimes the first answers that you'll get will be, oh, this is just my imagination. This is not real, you know, or, you know, that's just the old fears talking. And so to me, you want to keep asking questions until you hear answers that are really supportive and that help you feel like you're moving forward or like you're expanding. And that's how you'll know you've probably gotten to the truth of it for you. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
You know, because, of course, the angels use books, trees, feelings, your imagination, other people. They'll use anything they can to get energy to you, to get information to you, to get inspiration to you,
and that
right?
requires being present.
It does, and it requires, beginning to have faith and trust in the fact that you are an extraordinary, divine, spiritual being. That you are a soul, an eternal soul, down in this cute little bag of bones and water that we call a body, And to begin thinking about life from that kind of point of view.
Right, you're absolutely right. That took me 10, 15 years to finally get to that one.
A long time.
And I know most people, if I'm any indication of how most people are, that it's a long process. It doesn't have to be, because people are awakening much faster, and the information is circulating more brightly. And people are awakening to the fact that, we're souls, wrapped in bodies, like a meat in a taco was wrapped in a taco shell.
That's right. Oh, hello, beautiful taco.
Exactly.
That's too funny. Well, I have to tell you, I was just in Portland, Oregon, New Renaissance Bookstore, doing, book signings and giving talks and teaching classes. Cool. And in the angel class that I did, a 12-year-old girl attended. And, you just sit there awestruck because, she carries more information at the age of 12. Like you said, it took me 40 years to get all that information.
Yes.
I think she already groks it,
Yes, isn't that amazing?
It is wonderful.
The kids are just, well, of course, there's the indigos and crystals and all the blah-blahs, as you say. But, they're coming in practically like living masters.
Oh, it's so wonderful, I tell you. It's very exciting, very exciting. I know I wanted to make sure to tell you about something. I have a friend who is an indigo. Well, I don't want to say the wrong things. I think I'm saying it right. Her name's Lisa Bellini, and she's out of New Jersey. And she is holding, if it's okay for me to say this, she is holding, it's called Peace Day, the Kids' Way. It's on September 23rd. 2007, so that's coming up, at the Mount Eden Retreat in Washington, New Jersey. And it just occurs to me as we were talking, I didn't mean to, put in a little ad there, but Lisa, if you're listening, this is great, because it's very exciting. They're wanting to hold these peace days, Kids' Way, all over the world.
Oh, how wonderful.
In the next few years and whatever. So I just think that every year, every moment, every day, is just more magnificent than the one before. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Because I believe that consciousness is expanding exponentially now. And we don't even actually truly have a concept of what that is yet. So it's pretty interesting. And we're going to get to learn what it's like to live, even if it's only momentarily, in the unknown. And I think that's about building trust in Source and in ourself.
Yep.
And the source that is within ourself and all that,
Yes.
Play on words there.
Absolutely.
But I hope that I answered that question about contacting the angels. It's really about getting still and centered and remembering. Think about what's really beautiful and light and just so relaxed and gorgeous on the planet already. Like being out in nature, the sounds of water, toning, the Om and stuff like that. The beings, oh my goodness, the angels love music. They love it when you sing. They love it when you play. They especially love the music of the old masters. And because the masters, most of the old, a lot of the original, what we call the music of the masters, it came in because those humans were literally writing symphonies to angelic choirs and stuff,
Wow.
And so if you just start from an assumption that the angels, and you can call it the goodness of God that's on the planet, or you can call them guides and teachers. They don't care what you call them.
As long as you call them.
That's right. As long as, because I think that the gratitude, the love, the acceptance, the choice to say, I know I'm at free will choice. I know I'm in this body. I know I could go and care more about, how things look or the Porsche I need or whatever, but I'm going to give this moment to Spirit, and I'm going to join with the beauty and the light and the incredible energy that's already here, and I'm going to express that even more. You know, I'm going to allow my breath to be a blessing to everybody on the planet.
That's beautiful. And, of course, what I found for myself is I had to put aside my thoughts that I'm making myself foolish by asking questions inside my head.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
That's right. That's a great thing to do.
Yeah, you know, you have to be able to start asking these questions and say, well, angels, are you there? Or, you know, let me ask this question. And, of course, for a while you feel kind of stupid.
Yeah, totally dorky.
Foolish, but you know what? We're stupid and foolish anyway, so we might as well be ourselves.
That's right. I will tell you, I will say one more thing the beings taught me. And this is probably, I mean, other than having thousands and thousands of hours of practice of trusting what I hear. You know, the biggest people always ask me, well, why do you know all this stuff and I don't? And I go, well, when you were out partying and having a good time, I was over here practicing and listening and hearing the soul talk or hearing the angels talk. But the angels taught me to go to the center of your being. And because the center of the being is the place where there's no judgment inside of ourselves. It's kind of the place where it's just you and Source.
Okay.
And there's no judgment there. And so literally, if you take a breath and say out loud, I stand in the center of my being. Mm-hmm. And just let yourself go there. Some people will experience heat or cooling, like a little bump inside. And I just have people practice it and take a breath and just align. Just keep doing it till you feel it. And you'll know, I promise. And then ask your question. Because most of us, we ask our questions when we're in a space inside ourselves where we're very attached to the answer. And that's what clouds us being able, number one, to hear the answer, and number two, to trust the answer.
Oh, yes.
And number three, to feel sure of our action. So that's why the angel said, if you have doubts, the two things you can do. The first thing, go to the center of your being. Second thing, if you have a doubt, just pick something, go for it 1,000%, and if it's the wrong thing, you'll know immediately.
Right.
You know, you'll feel it in your body, you'll fall down, you'll whatever.
Right.
So, see, it's almost like you have to be willing to trust.
Right.
If you made an incorrect choice, jump up off the sidewalk and choose again.
Yes, so many people that I bump into and close friends of mine are afraid to do anything. Mm-hmm. And they're constantly changing. Well, you know, choosing this, and then I've changed my mind, and I don't know what to do, and I'm afraid of making the wrong choice. And you know, I just get so frustrated. I just said, well, you know, you'll figure it out eventually. But you know,
well, and you know, the key in that situation. Well, first of all, maybe now you'll go talk to them about. Y'all sit together and just practice going to the center of your being. Because if somebody doesn't know, it's kind of like, hey, go ask your true self.
Right.
But you have to create an atmosphere to be able to hear the true self.
Right.
I mean, truly, I get it. You know, what we're all trying to do is begin to live in a space inside ourselves where we can hear our true self all the time.
Yes.
You know, no matter what's going on around us. And we're going to have to practice that because that's not what life is like right now, is it?
No.
You know, there's a lot of noise out there.
There is.
A lot of input, a lot of distractions, et cetera, et cetera. So that's just where we're headed, if we were going to say. But, you know, the second thing, I found out, again, the beings talk about this a lot, that when you want to know what to do for your friends or people who just don't seem to get it, you know, that we're at free will here, and we really can't force anybody's timing on them.
Right. Absolutely.
But one thing that you can always, always, always do is send light. You know, send the energy to someone. I ask for whatever's highest for you to come forward. I send blessings to you. I send light. So you can always do that. But also, whenever you are doing something that feels really great to you, like, say, we're having this marvelous talk, you know, over the airwaves tonight. If before it happens, we set up and hold an intention inside that as we talk and commune and laugh and have fun and give information, that the energy really just lifts itself up and becomes communion and gives a blessing to all beings who are afraid and lonely on the whole planet.
Wow.
So then you go, wow, I mean, it feels incredible. You did such a great job just in the moment, you know, in the physical moment. But then think about the effect that has everywhere there's loneliness and sadness on the planet.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Isn't that sweet? It feels so sweet to me. I just love it.
I do too. And I always do my own version of what you just said.
Right, absolutely.
And I feel connected to the audience, as if it was as if I were speaking to myself.
Of course, your family. I know they love you too. I can feel the energy of it, sweetie. Isn't that great?
It is great, and with the two of us, and the synergy and the audience, there's thousands of us gathered together right now.
I know it. See, and making a difference. So that's what I'm saying about whatever might be going to happen that's horrible at 11, 11, 11, or 12, 12, 12.
Right.
Let's ask it to shift to its next highest version.
Yeah.
Right this second,
Right now.
Hey, the power of now and all that stuff.
Yeah, that's great.
It's so true.
Wow. Well, we're almost at the end of our time.
I'm telling you.
And
I want to remind everybody about my website and the name of the book. Is that okay?
That's what I was just going to segue into and have you tell people where they can find your materials and there's some channel material that you print out that's available for free on the site and all kinds of fun things. So
that's right. I hope everybody will go visit the site.
I do too. And where will that be?
It is called www.lotusgrid, LOTUSGRID, lotusgrid.com. And, you'll see the various buttons. The very first part of the first few buttons there will introduce you to the Lotus Grid and to Metatron, to a lot of past information that he brought forward about, so many things. Oh, my goodness, the 4-star convergence chamber. And even, something new that got added not too long ago, someone else who does a show here on BBS Radio, Marsha Mastrati, channels Metatron. And there's a picture that she channeled that's on my website now.
Oh, how wonderful.
Under the message from Metatron. And then you'll see information about me and about soul attunement and my work. There's a whole series of information about soul attunement tools, different breathing techniques and working with colors and all sorts of different things. And then, of course, a marvelous page that tells all about radio interviews and travels, and another one that describes the book, all the CDs. I have actually 5 or 6, 8, whatever CDs out. And you can order them through PayPal right there from the website if you're interested.
Wonderful.
And more than anything, just to be inspired and blessed, I hope you'll visit it. It's so great to be able to share. Can you imagine coming to the planet and sharing your soul and then, nobody listens? It's so marvelous to, have something available that can give to people and then, also to receive that. Giving and receiving is folds of the same cloth.
Absolutely, and I loved what you said about receiving, too, that we need to open up and be able to receive, because some people can give easily, and then they haven't learned yet how to receive. And part of it's a cycle, and
I'm telling you, you're gonna have to learn it sooner or later, and it's a lot more fun if you do it sooner instead of later. It seems like, anyway.
Absolutely. Well, we've received a lot from you tonight, Carol May, little angel lady. And I just want to thank you from my heart for being on the show. You were absolutely wonderful.
Thank you. You too. I hope that we get to do it lots and lots of times again. You are just so fabulous.
I do too. Well, I'd love to have you back.
All right. I appreciate your energy so much, and blessings to everyone.
Yes, blessings to everybody. It's a wrap. Good night, and God bless you.